The Ainu are the inhabitants of Japan's northernmost island, Hokkaido, and parts of Russia's Sakhalin and Kuril Islands. These folks have a unique and fascinating culture that'll make you question why they're not on every travel brochure. For most of modern history, the Ainu have been more ignored than your New Year's resolution by both the Japanese government and mainstream culture. Only in recent decades has a growing movement to celebrate and revive their traditions. Let me tell you, those traditions are packed with enough interesting tidbits to fill a Netflix docuseries. In this video, we'll explore 15 fascinating facts about the Ainu. You'll learn about their rituals, legends, and way of life, from their animistic beliefs to their love-hate relationship with bears. And don't worry, we'll keep it light, fun, and easy to follow, because history doesn't have to be boring. Let's get right into it. The Ainu were already calling Japan home long before sushi bars, Shinto shrines, and samurai swagger. These ancient people have roots so deep in history that archaeologists are still brushing dirt off relics, trying to figure out how far back their story goes. Living primarily in Hokkaido, the Kuril Islands, and parts of eastern Russia, the Ainu were among the first to settle these lands. Their presence in Hokkaido stretches back thousands of years, long enough to claim the title of the original local. Now, the Ainu weren't just hanging out, they were thriving. Distinct from the Yamato Japanese, the majority ethnic group in Japan today, the Ainu developed their unique way of life. They hunted, fished, and farmed, with skills that made them the ultimate survivalists, all while crafting myths and legends that rival the best folklore. But here's where things take a dramatic turn. Over time, as the Japanese government expanded its territory, especially during the Meiji Restoration in the 19th century, the Ainu's lands shrank dramatically. Policies of assimilation followed, stripping away their language, traditions, and even their identity as indigenous people. It was a cultural erasure so thorough that for decades, many in Japan didn't even realize the Ainu existed. Thankfully, times are changing. In recent years, there's been a growing acknowledgement of the Ainu as Japan's indigenous people, sparking a revival of interest in their heritage. Museums, festivals, and cultural programs are working to preserve and celebrate their traditions, ensuring their story is no longer swept under the historical rug. Imagine a unique language that doesn't share roots with any other language on Earth. That's the Ainu language for you. It's what linguists call an isolated language, which means it stands alone, without any known connections to other language families. This makes it as mysterious as the Ainu people themselves. Scholars have long debated where it came from and how it developed, but the truth is that its origins remain shrouded in mystery. It's like the linguistic version of an ancient puzzle, waiting for someone to crack the code. However, this fascinating language is now facing an uncertain future. The Ainu language is critically endangered, with only a few fluent speakers left today. So, how did we get here? The Japanese government pursued aggressive policies for centuries to assimilate the Ainu into mainstream Japanese culture. These policies discouraged the use of the Ainu language in favor of the Japanese, and slowly the ancient language began to fade from daily life. Imagine being told that speaking your language could make you an outsider. That's the reality the Ainu faced for generations. But here's the twist in the story. There's hope. Ainu language revival efforts are actively underway, and they're gaining momentum. Educational programs are popping up, teaching younger generations how to speak the language, and language courses aim to pass on the vocabulary, songs, and stories of the Ainu ancestor. When you think of traditional clothing, you probably picture silk kimonos or woolen Scottish kilts. But the Ainu people's traditional attire, atis, comes from something a little barkier. Yeah, you heard that right. Atis is made from the inner bark of the elm tree. Not your typical fabric, right? The harsh, cold climates of northern Japan and parts of Russia can be unforgiving. But Attis is strong, durable, and incredibly warm. Imagine wrapping yourself in nature's very own winter coat. No wonder the Ainu relied on the trees for such an essential part of their survival. Now, crafting Attis is a challenging trip to the fabric store. It's a lengthy, labor-intensive process. First, the Ainu would harvest the elm tree's inner bark, which is challenging. Then, they'd strip and soften it before spinning the fibers into threads and weaving them together into fabric. This whole process takes time, patience, and a lot of skill. But the result is a fabric that is not just functional, it's also stunning. The Attis clothing is famous for its delicate patterns and designs, but think of these as something other than random embellishments. Every thread, every stitch is carefully chosen to represent something meaningful, often nature, animals, or ancestral spirits. For the Ainu, these symbols weren't just for show. They were deeply tied to their animistic beliefs, reflecting a world where every tree, rock, and animal was infused with a spirit. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. The women of the Ainu were the master artisans behind these beautiful garments. They were the ones responsible for creating and decorating the clothing, a role that was highly respected. The more intricate the patterns, the higher the social status within the community. So, being able to weave and embroider an exceptional Attis was a sign of skill and honor. The Ainu are not your average nature lovers. For them, nature is not just something to enjoy on a hike or gaze at during a weekend camping trip. Nature is alive, brimming with spirits, and it's as essential to their worldview as breathing. Picture this. Every animal, plant, rock, river, and air around them is infused with a spirit called kamoi. These kamoi aren't just passive bystanders. They're active, powerful forces that shape the world and affect daily life. The Ainu see themselves as part of a larger web of life, where humans, animals, and natural elements coexist in a delicate, interconnected balance. The most revered kamoi are the animals that roam the forests and rivers. Among them, the bear holds a particularly sacred role. The Ainu consider the bear a godlike being, a mighty protector and provider. They see the bear as a powerful deity capable of bringing blessings and deserving deep respect. One of the most dramatic and sacred rituals in Ainu culture is the Ayomante, or bear-sending ceremony. A bear is carefully raised by the Ainu, treated with great respect, and then ceremoniously sent back to the spiritual world after its life is taken. The community thanks the bear for its sacrifice, believing it carries their wishes and prayers to the gods. It's a deeply moving and solemn ritual, highlighting the Ainu's reverence for the spirit world and their understanding that life and death are part of a greater cycle. The Ainu also practiced what we'd call sustainability today, long before it became a buzzword. They hunt and fish with an eye toward balance, taking only what they need to survive and ensuring that the resources of the land are preserved for future generations. Their relationship with nature isn't one of domination, but of respectful partnership. Whether carefully selecting a fishing spot or taking only as much wood as needed for fire, the Ainu live by an ethic of conservation that's all about maintaining harmony with the environment. It's a mindset that encourages giving back to the earth as much as you take, a principle that resonates more than ever as we face modern ecological challenges. Surviving the bitter cold of Hokkaido, Japan's northernmost island, takes more than just a good winter jacket. It requires serious know-how and some incredible skills in hunting and fishing. For the Ainu, these were not just survival skills. They were the backbone of their way of life and had mastered them over generations. Imagine living in an environment where winter can last for months and food isn't just a trip to the nearest convenience store. It's a battle against nature. The Ainu turned this challenge into an art form. When it came to hunting, the Ainu weren't just out there aimlessly hoping to find dinner. They were expert marksmen, using bows and arrows with precision to hunt everything from deer to wild boar. They also crafted ingenious traps that allowed them to catch animals with minimal effort, ensuring a steady food supply in a region where resources could be scarce. These traps were more than just tools. They were carefully designed based on deep knowledge of animal habits and local geography. But the Ainu were just as impressive when it came to fishing. The rivers of Hokkaido teemed with salmon, and the Ainu developed quality nets and weirs to catch them in large numbers. These fishing techniques weren't just practical, but an essential part of their culture. Their fishing rituals were infused with a deep respect for the fish, seen as sacred creatures with their spirits. The Ainu believed that fishing and hunting weren't just about getting food. They were spiritual practices that needed to be approached with respect and gratitude. Speaking of respect, the Ainu didn't just grab their catch and call it a day. Before hunting, rituals were performed to show respect for the animal's spirits. A special ceremony, often including offerings or prayers, was meant to ensure that the hunt would be successful and that the animal's spirit would be honored. This is a powerful example of Ainu's understanding of the balance between taking from nature and giving back, a lesson that resonates today as we reflect on sustainable practices. And when the hunt was successful, it wasn't just about eating fresh meat. The Ainu were resourceful, making sure that nothing went to waste. They developed preserving techniques like drying and smoking fish and meat to ensure they had food for the long, cold winters. The Ainu homes, called sai-sai, were built to withstand Hokkaido's cold, snowy winters, where temperatures could drop like your favorite social media app on a bad Wi-Fi day. These homes were constructed using natural materials like wood, bamboo, and thatch, making them well-insulated and sustainably sourced, strengthening the Ainu's bond with nature. In short, they were eco-friendly before it was cool. Now, let's talk about design. The size was usually rectangular and featured a central hearth, the Ainu version of a living room fireplace. This hearth wasn't just for cozy fireside chats. It was the heart of the home, serving multiple purposes. It cooked the family meals, kept everyone warm, and was the place to gather. There's something deeply comforting about knowing that even without a Netflix subscription, the sais had a great way of staying entertained. Conversation. One of the coolest features of these homes was their orientation. Most sais faced rivers or other natural landmarks, reflecting the Ainu's deep spiritual connection with nature. The Ainu understood the importance of location. There was no need for fancy feng shui advice when the river did all the work. But wait, there's more. These homes also had dedicated spaces for religious rituals and ceremonies. Every part of the home had meaning, and there was a real reverence for the connection between daily life and the divine. Overall, the Ainu homes were a master class in clever design, environmental awareness, and community building. With a house like that, it's no wonder they survived through the harsh winters of Hokkaido. If you thought the Ainu were great at growing epic beards and hanging out with bears, think again. They also have an artistic side that's as fascinating as their history. For the Ainu, art and music are more than just ways to pass the time. They're powerful tools for storytelling, spiritual connection, and keeping their culture alive. Let's start with Ainu art. Forget the usual paintbrushes and canvases. Ainu art is all about intricate carvings and beautiful embroidery. You'll find carvings of bears, foxes, and deer, all with meanings tied to Ainu beliefs. The Ainu are so connected to nature that they treat their art as a spiritual practice. Those patterns you see, they're not just decoration. They're symbols that help them communicate with the natural world. And some even believe they channel the power of the Kamui. Now, let's talk music. Because the Ainu aren't just visual artists. They also have some serious rhythm. Ainu music is made with instruments like the mukari, a jaw harp that'll make you feel like you're in a forest filled with the sounds of the wild. How does a jaw harp fit into all of this? Well, it's not just a fun party trick. The mukari and its bigger cousin, the tonkori, a plucked string instrument, was used to communicate with the kamui and to tell stories. And then there's a popo, traditional Ainu songs that are the original version of a karaoke session, but with much more cultural depth. These songs are typically performed in a group and involve call-and-response singing. That's as much about community as it is about rhythm. The songs serve as living history, passed down from generation to generation to keep Ainu stories, values, and history alive. It's like a group chat, but with melodies instead of text. Regarding artistry, Ainu women have skills that would make even the most fashionable designers green with envy. Their talent for weaving and embroidery is extraordinary, and it's been a cornerstone of Ainu culture for centuries. These aren't just your average scarves or throws, though. Ainu women craft stunning hand-woven garments like the atis, made from the inner bark fibers of elm trees. Yes, you heard that right. They turn bark into fabric. If that's not genius, what is? Each garment is adorned with intricate patterns, symbols, and designs that are as meaningful as beautiful. Think swirling waves, majestic mountains, and animal motifs, all inspired by the natural world the Ainu hold sacred. These designs aren't random doodles. They often have spiritual meanings, serving as protective charms or tributes to the kamui spirits that the Ainu deeply revere. What's even cooler, this skill is passed down like a family heirloom, with each generation of women learning the art from their mothers and grandmothers. Every stitch tells a story of their people, connection to the earth, and enduring culture. It's not just embroidery. It's a visual language. Today, Ainu weaving and embroidery are celebrated as cultural treasures, and rightly so. Efforts to preserve this incredible craft are in full swing, with workshops, exhibitions, and even contemporary fashion designers drawing inspiration from these timeless techniques. If you want to understand a culture truly, start with its food. Take ohau, for example. This hearty soup is a staple in Ainu households, and it's the culinary equivalent of a warm hug on a chilly day. Made with fish or meat, it's flavored with wild herbs and just a pinch of salt. Simple, yes. Delicious? Absolutely. Then there's rataskep, dried salmon, a lifesaver, and a flavor bomb. Imagine catching a fish, drying it to perfection, and knowing it'll keep you fed, even when the snow is piling up and grocery stores are centuries away. This preservation method highlights the Ainu's ingenious approach to surviving harsh winters without losing an ounce of flavor. And if you thought sugar was the only way to satisfy a sweet tooth, think again. The Ainu had been sweetening things with natural tree sap long before refined sugar became a pantry staple. Not only does this showcase their resourcefulness, but it also adds a distinct earthy flavor that makes their sweets one of a kind. The Japanese government, under its push for modernization, implemented assimilation policies that aimed to erase Ainu identity. Imagine being told you couldn't speak your language, practice your traditions, or even dress in your cultural attire. Ainu ceremonies and beliefs were labeled as primitive, and their lands were seized for Japanese use. This wasn't just cultural theft, but an outright erasure of their way of life. As if that wasn't bad enough, the Ainu people faced widespread discrimination. They were often treated as second-class citizens, excluded from opportunities, and viewed through stereotypes that painted them as uncivilized. Many Ainu were forced to abandon their heritage to survive in a society that marginalized them. But here's where the story turns. The Ainu refused to disappear. Their resilience is nothing short of inspiring. Despite decades of oppression, they quietly preserve their stories, songs, and customs. Some elders secretly continue teaching the Ainu language to younger generations, ensuring it would stay. Fast forward to 28, when the Japanese government finally acknowledged the Ainu as an indigenous people of Japan, a monumental moment in their history. This recognition sparked a wave of cultural revival. Organizations and communities began working tirelessly to celebrate Ainu heritage. Traditional festivals like Ayamante, the bear-sending ceremony, are making a comeback. And there's renewed interest in preserving the Ainu language, which is considered critically endangered. For the Ainu, music and dance are more than entertainment. They're powerful forms of storytelling, honoring ancestors and connecting with the spirits of nature. Ainu music has a sound unlike anything you might have heard before. It features unique vocal styles, including rhythmic chanting and melodies that echo through the forests and mountains of Hokkaido. This isn't your typical concert music. It resonates with the heart of the natural world. One of the signature instruments of Ainu culture is the tonkori, a plucked string instrument that looks almost like a small harp. Its soothing, earthy tones perfectly match the Ainu's deep connection to nature. Then there's the mukori, a bamboo mouth harp. When played, it creates an almost mystical sound, sounding like the gentle hum of the wind or the rustle of leaves in the forest. But it's not just the instruments that are fascinating. It's the way the Ainu use music and dance to tell stories. Imagine a performance where every note and rhythm is a chapter in a book, and each movement is a sentence. That's exactly what the Ainu do with their traditional dance, known as rikukara. These dances are filled with rich symbolism. Each movement mimics an aspect of the world around them, like the graceful flight of birds or the gentle sway of trees in the breeze. Sometimes, dancers even imitate the movements of animals, tiger-like precision, the twitch of a fox's tail, or the gallop of a deer. It's like watching nature itself come to life through the body. Many of the songs they sing reflect deep themes of gratitude and respect for the world around them. They sing about their love for nature, prayers to the Kamui, and connection to their ancestors. For example, one song might be a prayer to the bear spirit, asking for a safe hunting season, or a song of thanks for a successful harvest. Tattoos are often seen as a way to express personal style or commemorate important moments in modern culture. Still, tattoos carry a much deeper meaning for the Ainu people, especially women. These tattoos, known as sinuye, didn't just ink on the skin. They were powerful symbols of life, spirituality, and cultural identity. The process of getting tattooed was considered a spiritual ceremony. For Ainu women, tattoos were typically placed around the mouth, hands, and arms. Each design was carefully chosen and had a specific meaning. The most common tattoo was around the mouth, symbolizing a woman's maturity and readiness for marriage. But there was more to it. These tattoos were believed to connect the wearer with the spiritual world, particularly with the Kamui, the spirit central to Ainu belief. Elder women, often the ones with the most tattoos, would act as guides during the process, teaching the younger women about the meaning of the tattoos and Ainu traditions and values. It was said that women would receive their first tattoos around puberty, and the process would continue over the years as they reached different stages of life. The tattoos were seen as protective, and it was believed that they helped women guide the spirits of the dead to the afterlife. However, this sacred tradition continued. During the Meiji period in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Japan attempted to assimilate the Ainu people into mainstream Japanese culture, which led to the banning of many Ainu practices, including tattooing. Women once adorned with tattoos were forced to abandon the practice, and many sacred designs were lost or forgotten. It was a devastating blow to a culture that held tattoos in such high esteem. If you've ever walked through a forest and felt like the trees were watching you, or paused by a mountain and sensed something bigger than yourself, you might be experiencing something similar to Ainu spirituality. At the heart of Ainu's belief is animism, the idea that all things in nature, from towering mountains to tiny insects, have their spirit or kamui. For the Ainu, nothing is truly inanimate. Every rock, animal, tree, and wind carries a unique spiritual presence. These spirits are not only around us, they're actively involved in our lives, acting as protectors and providers. Imagine having your guardian bear spirit or a mountain looking out for you. Pretty magical, right? They have human guides who help bridge the gap between the physical and spiritual worlds. Spiritual leaders called tosu. They are usually spiritual mediators, helping to interpret signs from the spirit realm and guiding the community through important ceremonies. These leaders play a crucial role in ensuring the Ainu stay in harmony with nature and understand the spiritual messages that may come from the world around them. Want to know if a storm is a bad omen, or if the fish are plentiful because the spirit world is smiling down? The Tasu would be the one to read the signs. The Ainu. People didn't develop an oral tradition, passing down their history, legends, and wisdom from one generation to the next through vibrant storytelling. And let me tell you, these weren't your average bedtime tale. Ainu storytelling is like a theatrical performance meets a nature documentary, with a dash of life coaching thrown in for good measure. Their stories often feature kamui, gods or spirits, brave ancestors, and moral lessons tied to the natural world. One legendary tale, for instance, revolves around the owl Kamui, a revered deity believed to watch over humans. This story warns against harming animals unnecessarily and teaches the importance of living in balance with nature, a message that's as relevant today as it was centuries ago. But Ainu storytelling isn't just about the words. It's an all-out performance with dramatic gestures, animated facial expressions, and rising and falling voices to capture every ounce of emotion. The elders are like master actors, drawing their audience into a world where spirits roam, animals speak, and every tree and river has a story to tell. And here's the best part. Storytelling sessions aren't just history lessons. They're social glue. These gatherings unite the community, fostering connection and ensuring that no one forgets where they come from or the values that hold them together. Once overlooked and nearly forgotten, the Ainu culture is returning triumphantly to the spotlight, and it's as vibrant as ever. In recent decades, there's been a growing wave of excitement about all things Ainu, both within their communities and across Japan. From traditional festivals that bring ancient customs to life to modern workshops, where you can learn the art of Ainu weaving or wood carving, this cultural revival inspires people of all ages to reconnect with one of Japan's oldest heritages. Today's Ainu leaders boldly and creatively reimagine their traditions to ensure they remain alive and relevant. Ainu musicians mix traditional instruments like the mokuri with modern beats, creating tracks that sound like a cultural remix you never knew you needed. Meanwhile, Ainu artists are weaving their ancient patterns into contemporary fashion and digital designs, proving that heritage can look just as good in a gallery as on a hoodie. Education has also become a big part of the movement. Schools and cultural centers now offer lessons in the Ainu language, which was once in danger of fading away. Teachers use innovative tools like apps and games to make learning fun and accessible for the younger generation. It's a full-circle moment. What was once suppressed is now celebrated, and young Ainu people are proudly rediscovering their roots. And as the Ainu continue to share their rich culture with the world, it's clear their story is far from over. It's just getting started. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe. See you in our next video.